Everyone, is Julian Gordon here. It is episode 4 of Frameworks for Freedom. I'm so excited to be with you today. I got a little cough, so excuse me if you hear me cough today. But we have a very exciting episode to talk about today. And this episode that we are going to be covering is the fourfold path to freedom. Throughout my life, frameworks, formulas, concepts, methods, diagrams, these frameworks have helped me look at my life through the lens of that framework and evaluate my relationships, evaluate the way I think about money, evaluate the way I pursue my career, etc. And so this show is literally about bringing you a brand new framework every single episode that will help you look at your life and say, this is why I am where I am, help you understand who you are, and also determine what to do next. And today I have a very special one for you called the Fourfold Path to Freedom. In fact, this one is so foundational, I probably should have started the show with this particular one because some of the other episodes that we have already had actually build on this one, like the Skills Values Matrix, right? That's a framework that I shared early on, and it actually builds off of this foundation. This framework that I'm going to share with you is the foundation. And the reason this is so important is because, many of us have gone through life and we've checked off all the boxes. Be good, get good grades, go to good school, get a good job. We've done everything that we were supposed to do, right? Make good money. We checked off all those boxes. And even after we've checked off all those boxes, a lot of people still don't feel free, right? Checked off all the boxes, did everything we were supposed to, and still don't feel free. And I think freedom is what we actually all want. Freedom is what I definitely want, and I want that for you as well. So that's what this show is all about. So I'm so excited that you're here. Please engage in the comments area. I will be looking away from the camera onto my computer to see to see your comments and any questions that come up. I'll go into the teaching for just a little bit, and then we'll go into Q&A, and that's as simple as that. Then you'll go back off to your workday, whatever it is that you're doing, wherever you are, to create more value and create more freedom in your life, okay? So let's jump right into today's episode, which is the fourfold path. Whoops. I was designing a logo. Today's episode, which is the fourfold. Oops. There we go. The fourfold path to freedom. Okay. If you continue to grow these 4 things that I'm going to share with you today, it's going to lead you to freedom faster than anything else. Your schooling, your education, I don't care what school you went to, likely didn't teach you these things. This is not, none of these, well, they have to do with money, but money is not required for you to be free. And I'll explain that in just a second. So let's jump right into it. So the first thing, let me lay this out for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So the first thing, excuse my cough, everyone. The first fold in the path is actually you getting clear on your personal capital. Your personal capital is the first step in the fourfold path to freedom. Okay. And what do I mean by personal capital? Personal capital is actually your awareness of who you are. Everybody says knowledge of self, but that's this vague thing. How well do you know yourself? Okay. And so what we call that is self-mastery. How well do you know yourself? How well do you know yourself? Actually, I need to add another column over here. Okay, so this is the first form. Okay, how well, the personal capital, which is self-mastery, how well do you know yourself? This is your awareness of your unique gifts, talents, strengths, and strengths, right? I can't see your personal capital when I look at you, right? Only you know your personal capital. In fact, actually, oftentimes we don't know our personal capital. It's not until we're doing something and a mentor or friend looks at us and says, wow, what you just did was amazing. And we start to recognize that we have a rare ability or a unique ability at something that not everybody thinks comes typical. The reason why it's so hard to see your personal capital is because it comes so naturally to you. You're naturally good at it. And what tends to happen is that we think that everyone else is also good at it as well because it came naturally to us. But it's not until we are doing it in a group of people, right, where other people are seeing us and they're like, wow, how the heck did you do that? That was amazing. You're like, I don't know. That's just, I've always been able to do it like that, right? This is how you find your gifts and your talents. It's usually when somebody around you, you're doing it in the context of community, and somebody around you says, how did you do that, right? Because what you just did, what they just experienced was above average, and they themselves know that they couldn't do it as naturally and with as much ease as you just did it. So why is this one so important? Why is personal capital so important? Is because it starts to overcome the one of the four horsemen that actually restricts our freedom, which is doubt. Doubt. Okay? Doubt is one of the things that restricts our freedom, not believing in ourselves. So the easiest way to capture doubt is really thinking about you're not enoughs or you're too muches. I'm not smart enough. I'm not cute enough. I'm not a good enough public speaker. I'm not charismatic enough. I'm not extroverted enough. I'm too anal. I'm too much of a perfectionist. I don't have enough self-discipline. I don't have enough money. These are all the doubts that we have that restrict our freedom, right? And so the only way to overcome that doubt is actually by developing your personal capital, which is your self-mastery and how well you know yourself, okay? So that is the first form of capital that you have to focus on when you are moving towards freedom. And this one is absolutely free. All it requires is some reflection and self-observation. Now, self-observation can be very hard because what self-observation requires is that you are not only being yourself, but you are also looking at yourself at the same time. I was teaching my wife how to parallel park our car, and I was in the shotgun. I was riding passenger, and it finally hit me in terms of how to teach her this. And I said, not only do you have to be holding the wheel, which is driving the car in this reality, but you also have to be sitting on the light pole, actually observing the car from a bird's eye view, and to see and fit into a parking space when you're trying to parallel park, right? That's kind of your mind has to be looking from a bird's eye view, but yes, you still have to be here holding the wheel at the same time, right? So self-observation is actually the secret to developing your personal capital. You already have personal capital in you, right? It just hasn't been excavated yet. You may not have the language to articulate what your personal capital is. And as you start to scratch away the surface and you start to see the gold that is already within you, that starts to help you overcome this doubt that it restricts a lot of people from being free. Okay? So that is the first one. Next is your intellectual capital. Okay? Intellectual capital. That is skill mastery. And we talked about this when we went over the skills values matrix. It also can include subject mastery, but I think skill mastery is more valuable in this particular economy that we're in, especially when information, anybody can get access to information now, right? But with Google, information is readily available. Google's mission is to make the world's information universally accessible to all people. So if that's the case, then information becomes a commodity, and what actually becomes a value is who can actually help me get a new result or a better result with this information, and that becomes a skill mastery. That's skills, okay? So skill mastery is what you know. And this is key because, a lot of us went to school, got educated, had good grades and stuff like that. But the reality is that if most of us got stopped on stage at graduation and were required to lecture for 1 or 2 hours on the thing that we said we just majored in, that we just spent the past 4 years learning, some people in the 5-year, 6-year program, most people couldn't lecture for 1 hour at graduation about their major. So we went off to school, we got quote unquote educated, but still have no skill mastery. That's why when I go speak at colleges and things of that nature, I tell the students straight up that some of their friends who didn't go to college and became a plumber or a blacksmith or just went and got a trade, they are actually going to have more secure economic future than somebody who just went to college and just got information, right? Because that information, you could have bought the textbooks all on your own. If you had the self-discipline, you could have learned it all on your own, right? So in this economy that we're living in, this entrepreneur reality, we have to get clear on our skills, right? And we need skill mastery. And just because you went to a school and passed some tests does not mean that you graduated with any skills whatsoever. You go ask a student who graduated from a marketing program to actually go help a business get customers, and they can't. But you just got a degree in marketing, but you can't help this business, this restaurant, get 5 new customers in the door every single day, then you have no skill mastery. I don't care what degree, I don't care what your school was ranked on USA Today, it does not matter. And so skill mastery helps us overcome one of the other 4 horsemen that restrict our freedom, which is dispersion. I know I'm over here all on the edge. Dispersion. I hope you can see that. I'll repeat it. It's dispersion. Okay? Dispersion is basically the physics principle that says that dispersed energy is always weaker than focused energy. Dispersed energy is always weaker than focused energy. See, when we were going through the traditional education system, we were taught to be essentially jack of all trades. You were supposed to try to get good grades in all these different subjects, right? And even through our first 2 years of college, that was the case. And then you're supposed to kind of zone in on a particular major. But jack of all trades means that you disperse your intellectual energy over various subjects as opposed to developing mastery in one subject, right? Mastery in one subject. If you look at a magnifying glass takes the sun's energy and it focuses it on one particular point. And that's why you're able to light a leaf on fire with a magnifying glass, because focused energy is always more powerful than dispersed energy. And what tends to happen with our education system is that we tend to try to disperse energy. We want people to be well-rounded. Well, the world's most successful people aren't well-rounded. They're great at 1 or 2 things, and then they surround themselves with an amazing team, right? Amazing group of friends, amazing group of peers. So dispersion is actually one of the 4 horsemen that actually kills people from reaching freedom, because they're trying to be great at too many different things. And it's impossible. If somebody is focused all their energy on one thing, they're trying to develop their 10,000 hours on one thing, and you're trying to disperse your 10,000 hours over 5 different subjects, you're only going to get 2,000 hours worth of depth in each subject. Whereas the other people, and you can never compete with that person who's putting in 10,000 hours on one subject or one skill, right? And so wherever you feel dispersed, wherever you feel split energy, I want to be doing this and this and this, right? A lot of people say, oh yeah, don't talk about either or, talk about and. I push against that. Do I believe in creating possibilities that include the and? Yeah. But when it comes to your skill mastery, I encourage you to identify that 1 or 2 things that you are going to seek mastery at, that you're going to be the best in. You don't have to be the best in the world at it. You just have to be the best in your pond. Whatever your pond is, you have to be the best in your pond. You could be a small fish in a big sea, right, and be trying to win in a big sea, or you could be a big fish in a small pond. Excuse me. Whatever your pond is, that's where you want to develop. Whatever your pond is, you can win in that pond, right? You can kill it there. And this is really how the most successful people do it. They go into spaces where they know they're almost guaranteed to win. And I know this sounds counterintuitive. No, Julian, I want to go compete against the best in the world, and I want to show everybody that I'm the best. Well, how about you practice like you want to be the world's best, but then you go kill it in a small pond where you're going to actually dominate, right? Where your skill set is going to be far superior to anyone else's. This is how the world's most successful people do it, okay? So this is counterintuitive thinking, but this is why I'm bringing these frameworks to you, because one little mindset shift, right, can change the trajectory of your life, okay? So no more jack of all trades, right? Not trying to be good at a whole bunch of things. Instead, you have to seek greatness at 1 or 2 things, okay? The next one is actually your social capital, right? And I just talked about this. I said the world's most successful people, they develop expertise in 1 or 2 things, right? They get great at those things. They don't try to be great at everything. And then they surround themselves with other people who are great at the things that they're not great at, okay? So social capital is what I call a mastermind. If you've ever read Think and Grow Rich, this is by Napoleon Hill. He talks about the mastermind principle. Whenever two or more are gathered, there is in harmony, right? There is an extra dynamic that comes in. There's a power that exists there. This is the concept of a mastermind, is surrounding yourself with people who are going to up your game. If you are the smartest in your crew, right? If there's nobody who pushes you to achieve at a higher level, then I'm not saying you got to cut those people off, but you also got to find a new crew. You got to find people who are going to cause you to grow, right? I remember growing up, my birthday was right before the cutoff for baseball. So what that, and almost all the sports. And so what that meant was that I was always for the first year, I was always the youngest on the team. And so by being the youngest on the team, and I'm surrounded by people who are physically bigger than me, who are faster than me, etc., what did it cause me to do? It caused me to elevate my game. If I wanted to play, I had to elevate my game, right? Because I was surrounded by people who were older than me. If I was actually the big kid, the big bully, right, and I'm playing against all these kids that are younger than me, then I would actually exaggerate how good I actually was. I would have this perception that I was better than I actually was, because once those kids actually grow in stature and size and speed, all of a sudden they're kicking my butt because I got lazy, because I was dominating for a period of time just simply based on when I was born. And so I'm grateful that a lot of my friends growing up, they were older than me, because if I wanted to play on the basketball court, I had to figure out how to dribble. I had to figure out how to shoot like Stephen Curry. I had to figure out how to score on these bigger players if I wanted to play, right? And so that's what a mastermind does, is it surrounds you with people who are going to push you and elevate your game to a higher level, okay? So this is who you know, who you know, and who knows you. Okay? So this is your networks up, down, and across. Your networks up, down, and across, right? Up means your mentors, colleagues, professors, community leaders, business professionals who are where you want to be. Down means mentees, people who look up to you, younger siblings. Across means your peers, neighbors, strangers, etc. Right? So you always want to be networking in all directions, but the most powerful form of networking, the most powerful form of networking is actually networking up. Because one relationship upward could be equivalent to 20 relationships across. And if I look in your cell phone right now, most of the phone numbers in your cell phone are in your network across. And those are your peers. And having friends is great. But I would rather have 5 people in my network up than 500 people in my network across. Because the 5 people in my network up, they're the people who are on the other side of the door that I'm trying to get into. They have the key to that door. My friends can get me to the door, but wouldn't you rather know the person who's on the other side of the door and who has the key, right? And a lot of us avoid networking up, and we hang out with a lot of social friends. And again, not saying that you got to cut anybody out of your, delete anybody out of your cell phone, but I am suggesting that there are more powerful relationships that you can be cultivating that are going to accelerate your freedom and your success. Okay, so what having a mastermind helps you overcome is this idea in this world of DIY. DIY, do it yourself. These mentalities of it's up to me, it's me against the world, it's survival of the fittest. When we start moving in this idea of independence, like I got to make this happen, we actually limit ourselves, because you will always be limited by yourself. You will always be limited by yourself. And here's the power of a mastermind. If I told you to give me as many push-ups as you could right now, some of you could pump out 8, some of you could pump out 15, some of you could pump out 25, and that's great. But then if I walked in the room, as soon as you were done, as soon as you had given me as many as you possibly could, and said, give me 3 more, all of a sudden what happens? 3 more push-ups come out of the middle of nowhere. They come out of nowhere. Why? Because somebody else's presence, right, and belief in you actually causes you to do something that you didn't believe that you could have done on your own, right? You were ready to stop at 8, 13, 15, 25. You said you gave me all the push-ups that you could do, but then all of a sudden somebody else comes into the room and says, give me 3 more, and all of a sudden you pump out 3 more. Where did those 3 more push-ups come from? They came from somebody else's belief that you could do it. And this is the power of a mastermind, right? We actually limit ourselves. We are limited by our own thinking. I have another quick story. My daughter, um, she was about a little over a year old, and she wasn't walking yet. And we went to a New Year's party, and there was another baby there who was about 1 month older than her. And my daughter saw this baby, and my daughter had been at home, so she hadn't seen any people, little people her size, really. And so we're at this New Year party, and she sees this other baby who's her size walking. And you want to know what happened that night? My daughter took her first step. She took her first step. This is the power of proximity. When you surround yourself with people who are doing what you want to do, right? Not people who you feel the smartest around, right? Where you feel like you are the dominant, everybody looking to you. A lot of us take on that superhero role where we surround ourselves with people who want to be like us. And that's cool because they need that mentorship and that guidance. But you also have to surround yourself with people who are going to challenge you. And so that night, my daughter took her first step because she saw somebody like her, right? Her size, doing what she was ultimately wanted to do. She took her first step that night and she started walking within the weeks after, right? So that's the power of proximity, okay? So then finally, the fourth thing is actually financial capital. And I said you don't need money to be free. What you need is money mastery. And what do I mean by that? So Donald Trump has lost money a lot of times. He's been bankrupt a lot of times. But if you have money mastery, even if your bank account is zero or negative, you still know how to bounce back. You have no fear of loss, right? You're willing to take risks. You're willing to take risks because you've mastered money. You know that it comes and goes. You know that money is supposed to be fluid. Money is called currency for a reason. It's because it's supposed to have current. It is supposed to flow. But a lot of people have the wrong mindset about money, and what they do is they hoard money. They hoard it. And guess what? Money does not like to be hoarded, right? Money does not like to be hoarded. It likes to be in motion. It likes to flow. And so, you know what really stops the economy? It's not the 1%. It's not the rich people who stop the economy. I'll tell you what stops the economy. And sometimes rich people do hoard money, right? But part of them hoarding money is the fact that they don't know how to invest it or how to spend it, right? We get mad when somebody buys a Ferrari, but guess what? When somebody buys a Ferrari, that creates probably 3 to 6 other jobs out there. So why would you be mad when somebody is actually pouring money into the economy? Economy is something that is cyclical, that is supposed to flow. Why would you be mad when somebody is tricking out when they're actually pouring money back into the economy and creating jobs for other people? See, we have this paradigm shift. Oh, no, I'm never going to spend like that. I'm going to save up as much money as I possibly can, etc. Money does not like to be hoarded. It likes to be in motion. It likes to be free. It likes to flow. And so, yes, I encourage you to have an emergency fund, right? So if your life flips over for whatever reason, you have a 6-month to 1 year emergency fund. But beyond that, I personally want all my money to be in flow. Not to be in a savings account that's making absolutely nothing, right? It is making something. I'm just not making anything off of it because the banks are actually taking that and they're putting it out in flow, right? They're putting it out in flow and they're making money off of the savings account, right? So we have these wrong mindsets about money. Savings is, you can't save your way to wealth. I'm just going to keep it real with you. cannot save your way to wealth, not through a savings account. You have to continually invest it. And the number one thing that you can invest it in is yourself. So I'm going to break down how money is actually created because it's a simple thing. How is money created? Oh, Julian, they print it at the treasury, whatever. No. How is money created? I'm going to show you how financial capital is created right here, right now. Your financial capital or your is who knows that you know what you know. I'm going to repeat that. It's who knows that you know what you know. Okay? So watch this. If you want to increase the amount of money you're earning per year, etc., then here's what it is. I'm going to draw this right here. There is this plane, and that is your personal capital. That is your foundation, right? But then you have this X. This here is your intellectual capital, and this one is your social capital. And where does your financial capital grow? At the intersection of these two things. I'm going to break this down for you because this is key. So watch this. When I go to an audience, any audience, it could be corporate, it could be college, it doesn't matter. And I say, does anybody in here know how to fix cars? Anybody in here know how to fix cars? Stand up. Maybe 2 or 3 people stand up. And especially in a college audience. Let's use college for right now. So let's say out of a room of 500 people, 2 or 3 people stand up. I have them say their names. Then I ask the other 497 people, how many of you knew that these 3 individuals knew how to fix cars prior to this moment? And nobody knew. Nobody knew. These people had this skill for whatever reason. They may have went to a trade school for high school or something like that. They may have learned from their pops or their mom. However they learned it, they learned this skill. And now, prior to that moment, 497 other people didn't know that they had this skill. But now that I've made them stand up and state their name, now there are 497 people, social capital, that know that these 3 people know how to fix cars. So then I asked, how many of you, the 497 people, have cars? Right? And half the room raises their hands. So now there are 250 people who know they can go to these 3 people if their engine light comes on. Guess what? I basically paid for those young people's college education simply by making other people aware of a skill set that they had. Are you guys getting this? Your financial capital grows at the intersection of who knows that you know what you know. It comes at the intersection of your intellectual and social capital. The more you cross those 2 things, the more financial opportunities will come your way. I'll give you an example in the context of a job. If you're seeking a job and you have this intellectual capital, this skill set, and this experience, and you want a job at a new company, then what is going to increase your likelihood of actually getting the job at that company? Who knows that you know what you know? The more people in that organization, whether it's through the interview process or through your network that you had prior to the interview process, the more people that know you in that company and know that you know what you know, the more likely it is that you will get that job opportunity. It's that simple. But versus somebody who has the same exact intellectual capital as you and doesn't know anyone else in there, who's going to win out? The person who's going to get the job offer, which is actually financial capital, right, is the person who has crossed their intellectual and social capital. Again, with your personal capital being the foundation. So this is how you create wealth. This is how you create money. See, a lot of us were smart. I know for me, I was smart in high school. I had like a 4-something GPA. And because I wanted to fit in with my friends, I didn't tell anybody what my GPA is. People knew that it was up there, but I didn't tell anybody because I wanted to fit in. So what I recognize now is that by hiding my brilliance, how many of you out there have hid your brilliance? By hiding my brilliance, I was cutting myself off from opportunities. For instance, I could have probably made money tutoring people, right? If I stopped hiding my brilliance. But oftentimes we hide our brilliance to fit in. And so when you hide your brilliance, when you hide your know-how to fit in, now people aren't aware and don't know what you know. And therefore you get no financial capital from the brilliance that you already have within you. And so this is where personal branding comes in, and why personal branding is so key is because whether you have a job or not, we're in this entrepreneur reality. You have to position yourself as an entrepreneur. You should have your own domain name, which I told all of you to go buy, right? And you should have a website up there that says, here's who I am. Here's what I know how to do. Here's my intellectual capital. Here's my personal capital. And now as people start visiting your website, that becomes now your social capital. And I guarantee that financial opportunities will come. The more people that know that you know what you know, financial opportunity will emerge in your life. It's that simple. There's no secret to it. It's not this hidden science. It's not on some old scrolls that are 3,000 years old. It's this simple. The more people that know what you know, the more people that know that you know what you know, the more financial opportunity that's going to come your way. It's that simple. Okay? And so what Money Mastery helps you overcome, the fourth of the 4 horsemen, is debt. We are in a debt-based economy. Our country's in debt. Everybody who lives in it is in debt. I would really be interested to see how many people actually have a positive net worth in American society. How many people actually have a positive net worth, right? I know if you have a home, that's a huge debt, right? But if your home value is appreciated and you owe less than it's worth, then that's a positive. That's a positive net. That has a positive net worth to it, right? So, I'm outside of home ownership or home buyership. You don't become a home owner until you've actually paid off the mortgage. So don't get fooled by shows like HGTV where they give you the keys and they say, "Oh, you're a homeowner now." No, you're not. The bank owns the home. You become a home owner once you paid off the mortgage. At that moment in time when you get the keys, you are a home buyer. Okay? Let's just make that crystal clear, right? But a lot of us have tons of debt. A lot of us have tons of debt. And the only way to get out of debt is start to master money and start to develop in your personal, intellectual, social, and financial capital. When you start doing those things, it's going to position you for more freedom. You will overcome doubt, right? You will overcome dispersion. You will overcome this mentality that if it's going to be, it's up to you, that you have to do it all yourself. Because the world's most successful people don't do it like that. Every success story, go find me one success story that doesn't involve other people. Go find me one autobiography that doesn't have anybody else's name in it, right? That just has the person who wrote the book, right? Go find me one success story that doesn't involve other people. Steve Jobs, Wozniak, Bill Gates, Paul Allen, Serena and Venus, Jay-Z, Beyonce, right? Dr. Dre, Jimmy Iovine, right? All these success stories that we know of involve other people. So what illusion are we moving under that we are supposed to succeed on our own, that we're going to make it happen, that it's going to happen because of me and my effort alone? That's not how the world operates. And so I'm just trying to give you the game so that you can get to freedom faster. And this is the fourfold path to freedom. So with that, I'm going to pause. I thank you for your comments. I thank you for your questions. Please go ahead and share this. If you found this valuable so far, have some other people jump in during Q&A. But right now, I'm going to jump into Q&A, and I can see I'm looking right here. I can see your questions. I can see your questions. So go ahead and type them in as they come in. Again, please hit the share button. Let's get this message out. If you found this valuable, if you found it transformative, please get this message out. Spread it. Spread the love. This came free to you, right? This came free to you, and so let's go free somebody else with it. So right now, in Q&A mode, if you have any questions about this, the fourfold path of freedom, this is the foundation of the frameworks for freedom. This is the foundation, and every framework that I share with you going forward will be in the context of these four particular pillars. They will fit within the context of these. It will be either helping you grow your personal capital, your intellectual capital, your social capital, your financial capital. But everything fits here. Okay? So I'm looking at Facebook comments right now. Go ahead and add any questions. Takia said, what was the final column in the financial fold? It is debt. It is debt. When you've mastered money, you develop your financial capital. It helps you. Oh, sorry. My shoulder was in the way. It's debt. It helps you overcome debt. How can we get a copy of the slide? Deborah, because, I know where you're at. You're in my mastermind, so I'll make sure that you get it. Brenda, I would like to hear some more about personal branding. What if you're just not sure what makes you unique or stand out? So, Deborah, great question. The best way to do that is actually go text 10 people right now and ask 10 people who know you well and ask them, what do you think makes me unique? If you had to capture it in 1 or 2 words or a 3 to 5 word phrase, what do you think is unique about me? And you'll start to get feedback, and you're going to start to see some patterns in their answers. So go ask the people who know you the best and just text them so it's not intrusive and it's just kind of conversational, and see what they say. That's the best way to start to understand who you are and how you're showing up in the world for other people. Your personal brand lives in the minds of other people, right? Your personal brand, you get to curate it, but it actually lives in the mind of other people. It's what they think about, right? Their thoughts. It's what they think about when they hear your name. So your personal brand actually lives in the mind of other people, and you actually get to curate it. And if people are thinking about you wrong, right, and not reflective of who you truly are, then guess what? That means that you didn't curate your personal brand correctly. The responsibility always comes back to us, okay? Any other questions? So good to see some familiar faces. Again, this is the Framework for Freedom show. We are on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. If you want to get notified, go to freeme.tv. Again, that's freeme.tv. And sign up, and you'll get notifications. On top of that, I'll also send you two of my favorite tools to help you get more free. Okay? Again, that's freeme.tv. You should see it under the video. Go sign up there to get notified so you don't ever miss another episode of that. That will also send you to our private Facebook group where I post other stuff that will help you get more and more free. Hi, Kayla. Yes, I would love for this to be on television. For right now, this is television. This is what it is right here, right now. One day we're going to have 3,000, 30,000 people watching this, and 30,000 people getting more free every single day. I would love that. And so this is season 1. It's an experiment. We're going to 8 episodes, so there's 2 more weeks. After this is episode 3. And based on your feedback and responses and the number of shares and comments, we'll decide how to move forward from there. If it's going well, then I'll keep doing it. If this is resonating, if it's striking a chord, if it's helping you become more free, then we will keep on doing this, right? But if we get mediocre response and it's not really resonating, then I'll just save it for my mastermind and my coaching clients and things of that nature, right? I want to make this accessible to all people. I'm experimenting to see if this is the right platform and the way to do it. And the only way I know is through your comments and through your shares and through your feedback, okay? Question. What's going on, Paris? Any other questions? Any thoughts? Okay, what was your greatest takeaway? Okay, if you don't have questions, before you dip out and get back to your work day, what was your greatest takeaway from today's show? What was your greatest takeaway from today's show? Just type in one takeaway that you're going to carry with you going forward as a result of the show. One thing I said, one idea, one concept. Beyond just the whole entire framework, what is your best takeaway from today's show? Let's capture it here so that anybody who watches this as it stays evergreen can come back and see greatest takeaways. I'm also here still taking questions, so feel free. Feel free. Yes, I want you to feel free. That's the number one thing I want you to do is feel free. We got to overcome doubt, aspersion, DIY, and debt. And the way we do that is through the fourfold path to freedom. Self-mastery, skill mastery, mastermind, and money mastery. Okay? Deborah, yes. We just had our coach call today. Who knows that you know what you know? Deborah, you have such amazing gifts and talents and know-how. And now, once we get other people to know that you know what you know, financial resources are going to flow your way automatically. Right? Amparo, asking the people who know you best what they think makes you unique. Great. You can find your brand in 2 ways. One is your character brand and one is your career brand. I'm breaking down another framework really quickly. Your character brand is you're going to send that to your significant other, to your friends, etc. But then you can do the same kind of text messaging for your career, right? How people see you as a professional, right? And that may be to a different group of people. So there's your character brand, which I like to talk about is thinking about your eulogy, right? And then your career brand would be what you want people to think about, what you want to say in your retirement speech, right? So your character brand is your personal relationships and what you would want somebody to say about you in your eulogy. And I know that's kind of morbid, right? But then your career brand is your professional brand. And this is what you would want to say about your career in your retirement speech, okay? Any other takeaways? Any other questions? Paris, being able to distinguish between all the sections, see how they're related. Yes, this is the foundation. I should have started the show with this, but here it is now. I'm glad that we built an audience and more people getting to experience it because we're doing it in episode 3. Yes, John Mark, my financial capital is relative to how many people know that I know what I know. Great. Kayla, I hope I'm saying that right. Can you please elaborate briefly on intellectual and social capital intersection piece? Yes, Kayla, really quickly. The reason I get paid to speak at companies, colleges all over the country, for instance, a company, they know that I know a lot about helping, know a lot about the millennials and how they think about work, right? And the more companies that are aware that I know that, right, this is my intellectual capital, the more companies that are aware that I know how to do that at this intersection right here, at the X, right, the middle of the X, that is where financial capital emerges. I can know how millennials think about work and how they relate to work and how that's going to impact their careers. But if no companies know that I know that, then I get no financial gain from it. Or I could have a huge, amazing network of corporate client. Not they wouldn't be clients. I could have a huge network of companies out there and contacts at companies, right? But if they don't know that I have this expertise over here, then no financial resource is created because of that, right? They have to intersect. They have to intersect. Okay. Great. Who knows that you know what you know? No one wins when I play small. There are many people who know what I know. The issue is I don't believe in what I know to be good enough. Self mastery hits home for me. Great. Thank you so much for sharing that to you. See, the best way to think about that, Tia, is your first language is usually somebody else's third language, right? What comes naturally to you, that's your first language, right? You can just free flow, right? But to somebody else, they could be your friend, they could have the same upbringing, whatever. It's actually their third language. So, for instance, cooking is not a first language for me, right? For whatever reason, it's not a first language for me. It's like a third language. And then I have friends who is a first language for. Her name, I told you about her. Her name is Kathy. Check her out at tutorialthekitchen.com. I've given her 2 plugs during the show. I'm sharing that because it's a skill set that I'm learning, right? I'm not trying to be a chef, but it's a skill set that I want to have. And because it's her first language, it's my third language, there's arbitrage there. There's an opportunity for her to create value for me because I want it to be at least my second language, right? And so, Tia, you have something that is a first language to you, and there's many people out there who it's a third language for, meaning that they're weak at it, and they would be happily pay you for it to be their second, become their second, or even their first language. Okay, Diane, don't be limited by my own independence. Mastermind with others. Prevent being limited by self. That's great. Okay. So really quickly, I'm gonna go back. And allow you to vote really quick on next episode. We have social versus successful friends, the 6 types of people in your life, 3 that you should keep, 3 that you should let go of, the winners and losers in this entrepreneur reality, how to train people how to treat you, 5 questions to get what you want, how to ask for help, 7 ways to decrease the demand, 5 criteria for problems worth solving, the 4 ways to leave your legacy, and how to sell anything, including yourself. Right now, the 5 questions to get what you want is in the lead. If you didn't vote earlier, please type in the number or the show title that you want us to cover on Thursday, and I will start getting prepared to help you get more free in this particular area of your life. Diane, I see that's 2 votes. Cool. 5. I see 5 coming through. 4. Looks like 5. 5 is in the lead right now. Okay. Great. So with that, I just want to say thank you for being here. I don't know where else you can go to learn how to be free. They don't teach you in school. They don't teach you how to grow your personal capital in school. Skill mastery doesn't get taught at colleges, right? Unless you're going to a trade school. That's why I think trade schools are going to be on the rise soon. Social capital, we kind of let our relationships naturally unfold, and that's cool. And I'm sure you've met amazing people through that way. But I'm inviting you to be more intentional about who you choose to be around. And then financial capital, financial literacy, nobody teaches us that. And so these are the foundations, and this is why I created this show, and because I don't know where else anybody goes to learn how to be free. If we had to all redesign our lives right now, right, knowing what we know now, if we all had the opportunity to redesign our lives and we knew that the goal was freedom, I think a lot of us would do it a lot differently. No regrets, No regrets whatsoever. But if we knew that the goal was actually freedom, I think we would actually navigate our lives a little bit more differently. If we knew the fourfold path to freedom, I think we would navigate our lives, our college. I think I'd still go to college, but I would navigate that space a lot differently if I knew the fourfold path to freedom beforehand. So with that, I hope that this can be your home. I'd like to call this show the land of the free. You are all freedom finders. Otherwise, you wouldn't have spent lunch here. I hope I gave you not only some food for thought, but I hope that you also get to have some good food for lunch. And with that, I will talk to you 12:30 Eastern Standard Time on Thursday. Go ahead and set a phone alarm right now. If you want an email reminder, go to freeme.tv, freeme.tv. If you want an email reminder at 12:15 on Thursday. And with that, I think I'm going to take a nap. I need to rest, hopefully so that I don't have this cough on Thursday. And guess what? I feel free to do that. I can go do that partially because of the fourfold path to freedom. I can go take a nap in the middle of the day and be fine, not have to ask anybody for it. And I want everybody here to have that same kind of freedom for themselves. Even if you have a job, to be able to talk to your boss straight up without fear and say, I'm not feeling well. I'm going to go stay home. Thanks. And have no worry or fear that you're going to get fired or you're going to get behind or anything like that. I want you to feel free. It's not about getting free. Getting free is external. You have to be free and feel free inside first. And then you start to see that in your mind. And then you start to see that manifest in your outer reality. Okay? So, yeah, just checking out the comments. Rico, a humble brag. Okay. All right. So see you all 12:30. See you all in 48 hours. Okay. No, 47 hours. Okay. I hope that the next 47 hours are free for you, and send out those text messages to friends to understand, friends and colleagues to understand, start to understand what your personal brand is, and professional brand, and what makes you unique. All right. So I will talk to you on Thursday. Much love, everybody. Peace.